thanks for coming out, man. It's a better Friday than I had planned.
Right. All right. Hello. This is episode 3 of the Older and Wiser podcast. I am joined today by the same co-host I had for the last 2 episodes, which is fine because I dig him and he's a funny dude. My friend Doug X.
I'm here.
You can find him at dougxcomedy.com and on Twitter you're at
Love is Cthulhu.
Love is Cthulhu on Twitter.
CTHULHU.
There you go.
Or something like that.
So, one idea I had, for this podcast going forward is I just generally believe that people are more knowledgeable than I am. Because I know I know very little about a lot of things. And so I thought I would ask you about something that maybe people aren't aware that you're into, like something that you specialize in or you have a lot of knowledge in.
Well, we were talking when we were kind of discussing ideas for the podcast. I don't know if I'm very knowledgeable about it, but I'm into basic income, UBI, Universal Basic Income. And I was talking about like ALEC, where all the conservatives get together and set their state-by-state and city-by-city legislation agenda. And, of course, the funding for this little convention comes from the fucking Koch brothers, the billionaires behind the John Birch Society.
Yeah, if you don't know who the Koch brothers are, it's not Koch as in C-O-K-E. It's Koch as in K-O-C-H. Look them up. They're a couple of douchebags.
They are a trio of douchebags.
A trio of douchebags.
And they are the funding behind much of the terrible shit happening in this society.
Right. They fund most of the Republican agenda and the conservative agenda, and they're not a fan of really anybody who's not rich or white.
Well, yeah, when Senator Ryan passed that fucking atrocity of a tax bill, he got $500,000 from the Koch brothers. As in, hey, here's $500,000.
Yeah.
You just saved us $1 billion a year. You can have a fucking cup and 2 pence. That's like a rich guy just pulling a teenage whore, gay boy off the fucking street, just pounding his ass for 15 minutes and going, here's $2. Go buy yourself a Coke.
Go eat at Chick-fil-A.
He saved them $1 billion a year, and he gets for his reward $500,000.
Yeah, I mean, is $500,000 really worth selling your soul? I mean,
they're not. But here's the interesting thing that I've been talking about on Twitter and Facebook. And I'm sorry if I'm kind of taking over the podcast. But,
oh, no, it's cool. That's why I asked.
But this is the thing that people don't understand. They're like, oh, how can McConnell, abdicate his responsibility? Why is the Republican Party so corrupt? They're not corrupt. They're just employees. They're the political arm of Koch Brothers Industries. Is that we've got so much income disparity kind of because of cute corporations where, we've had individuals like Rockefeller own politicians before.
Oh, yeah. Owning politicians have been going on, since politicians.
But as much as Rockefeller dominated the U.S., he didn't have really interest in Europe. He didn't own Asia. We now, with globalism, the Koch Industries are not like a U.S. corporation. They're a global corporation.
They're a global corporation.
And that kind of, you can sell it to the entire fucking world. And you channel it up, and it just goes to one person. We've cut, anyway, basically with tax cuts, it can concentrate in one individual or one corporation, and they can just buy and sell a political party. Really, 1.5 political parties. Because like the Young Turks say, they fund, because the same companies fund both give donation money to both parties, like the DNC convention. They got a lot of corporate money to put on that party. But the Young Turks say they fund strong Republicans and weak Democrats.
Oh, that's really interesting. I mean, I knew they funded, strong Republicans because it helps push their agenda through. But I didn't realize they also funded weak Democrats, which makes sense because you can easily control them, which gives you votes.
Right.
And everything is about getting the votes to get your agenda passed.
Or that's who they're fighting. You get to pick who you fight.
Yeah.
Like, okay, there's 2 Democrats running in the race. One's very progressive and one's very progressive and cares a lot about unions, and one is like one of these corporate Democrats, or he's a Democrat with a history of like folding intense negotiations, right? Who the fuck is Wall Street going to donate money to?
So, I mean, is that sort of like the difference between like Hillary Clinton and Bernie Sanders?
Hillary was getting $500,000 a speech when she was doing it. And I mean, look, maybe it was blown out of proportion, maybe not, right? Certainly they were saying, well, she's going to be softer on golden socks than Donald Trump, and obviously that was not true. But they were paying her that money for a reason.
Right.
Even if she wasn't necessarily making a deal with Wall Street, they knew that she'd be nicer to them than Bernie Sanders, and that money was going into her campaign fund.
Absolutely.
So it wasn't necessarily a quid pro quo, but who do they want having more money to fight the campaign, have a better chance of winning?
Right.
And I think it was quid pro quo. But leaving that out for the moment, it's just a way to give money to the person they want to see on the other side.
Who's going to help them out the most?
By either being on their side or not being very good at being against them.
Right.
Like Schumer. Chuck fucking Schumer. Man, I wouldn't want him fucking negotiating a used car for me.
No. What is up with that dude? I mean, like one day you see him take a strong stance on something, and then the next day it's just blowing over.
Well, yeah.
I mean...
Well, I mean, I think let's leave that aside. That's a different podcast. Nothing like because we can just chain everything down. But let's talk about like that. There's money and the Koch's fucking fund. They own, not just that they fund. Because it used to be, I'm a politician, I'm strong.
Right.
I'm a CEO, I'm strong. Let's negotiate and work together. Now it's like, I wrote you your fucking check. Where's my results? Because I mean,
right, it's time to pay up.
If the Kochs save $1 billion personally a year, you can put all the net worth of all the fucking people in the Senate combined. I don't think it comes to $1 billion.
Yeah.
They own the fucking Republican Party.
Absolutely.
Bought and paid for.
Absolutely.
And that's never happened before. That owning a whole party where party is just employees. Because there's no longer an equality between politicians and a CEO of a huge corporation. Now a CEO is like here, and a politician is just an employee. Just fucking... And if it's not Rand Paul, and if it's not Paul Ryan, fuck him. Fire him and put somebody else in there.
Yeah.
Fucking made Sarah Palin a fucking senator.
Oh, shit. Well, I mean, and I think, that whole thing has got really snowballed since, I think it's Citizens United was passed, where corporations were people... and they could donate, money to campaigns and stuff. That's bullshit. I mean, it's amazing to me that it's not amazing that it passed because I get it. Like I understand why the politicians passed it because it benefits them. They benefit from it.
Well, actually, the other way around. Politicians restricted campaign financing, and
really?
the Supreme Court threw it out.
See, this is why I ask these things, because I know there's people who know more about it than me.
It was a court case, and you get a court case when someone says a Supreme Court case, when someone says a law or a policy is unconstitutional. It was challenged by corporations who wanted to not disclose how much money they were donating.
Oh.
And there was restrictions.
They just wanted to write blank checks and no one know about it.
And they're like, you can't restrict us. Money is speech, and not just corporate speech, because we're just like people. Okay. And
we have a stance. We have a position as a company.
Well, the Supreme Court is pretty important.
Oh yeah, that's what I, as a more progressive liberal, that's what really frustrated me about the Republicans refusing to even listen to the nomination that Obama had. They wouldn't even approach the subject, and then it's bullshit after that when they start calling calling bullshit on the Democrats for getting in the way. It's like, you fucking got in the way of a Supreme Court justice. We were short of justice that entire time.
I know, for a year.
For a year.
Unprecedented. And it's not, and I'm like, well, it's the last year. It wouldn't have mattered if it was the last, and they said it. If it had been the last 2 years, or if Hillary got elected, they still would have not confirmed any justices.
Yeah.
They would have done it for 4 years if Hillary got elected.
And that shit should be against the law. Like, you shouldn't just be able to get, we're just gonna ignore it. Like, fuck off. That's ridiculous. And I remember getting into arguments with Republican members of my family because they're like, well, that's within their rights. And I'm like, no. Like, it's not okay to just stand in the way. It's not. And if the roles are reversed, like let's say when in King Bush the second term, in last year, if they had lost justice and Bush had nominated somebody and the Democrats refused to listen to it, they would have lost their shit.
Yeah, of course. But that's the thing is that's why the Republicans are so unified. They're just, at least since United at the very least, they're bought and paid for. They're just employees. And it's like getting upset at the Republican Party for any Republican member of the party for not balking the system or fighting, which they don't do. It's like being upset at something on the clerk. Hey, why don't you tell your manager to set different hours? Or why is the price so high for Mountain Dew?
It's true. You're like, I don't know. It's not my fucking worry.
Man, I just cash my check. I mean, no one's in the Senate to be a senator in the Republican Party. They're in it for like the $20 million a year job they're going to get when they get out of the Senate.
Right.
That's their reward.
Well, and I've watched news reports where they talk about that, like congressmen and senators spend the majority of their time raising money. Like they're spending most of their time collecting money from people instead of actually governing people. And it's just the fact that money is so tied into all of it. It's just gross. It just sucks.
Well, it's because of TV. TV is so expensive, and it's considered the main medium on how to sway people.
Absolutely.
And you have it's just a huge corrupting force. I had a solution. I was like, bam, no TV ads for politics. Just that medium is excluded. You can't run ads on TV.
Yeah, but the Republicans would never go for it because that's their bread and butter.
Right.
Is folks sitting on their couch eating TV dinners.
Well, actually, Facebook ended up being a huge thing. But I mean, it was expensive. Well, I guess Facebook, they dumped hundreds of millions of dollars to Facebook. But my thought was you'd have to make your own YouTube videos, and those aren't nearly as expensive to produce as TV spots.
Right.
And that would.
We're making a podcast on putting it on YouTube, and it's costing us nothing.
I know.
So, that's absolutely true, and
it would level the playing field a lot.
Yeah.
And
because it's not about how much money anybody has then.
Right, which is why, and there's also a question of constitutionality of just eliminating political speech on an entire medium, but it would work.
Yeah.
Or we could just, have policies where we used to have under FDR, where nobody could have enough money to buy a fucking Senate. I'm not talking about buying a senator. That's fine. You can buy all the senators you want. You can't buy the whole goddamn thing.
Right.
You can't have a monopoly of the Senate.
Which is the case now.
It's just they're just employees.
They're just employees.
We've got to the point where a U.S. senator is just a fucking clerk. It's just a fucking clerk, and if you don't like that one, you fire him and put a new one in there.
Right, especially the congressmen. They're out every 2 years anyway. So you're not pushing our agenda through, or you're not going to be able to beat this other person, we'll find somebody else to do it.
They couldn't even, they're got such fucking crazy-ass people running the fucking Congress, they couldn't even put together a funding plan with their own majority.
Right. That's been something kind of fascinating from someone who's not part of all that, watching it. It's been really fascinating the little amount they've been able to get accomplished because they own all of it. They own all of it, at least until the midterms, which don't come up until November. And they've passed one tax bill, and they couldn't even get a budget. They couldn't keep the government running, and they own the majority of it.
So let's talk about that just for another minute or two, because that tax bill, that atrocity, that apocalypse of a tax bill, repealed the estate tax.
Yeah.
There is no tax more progressive, more liberal, more done purely to deconcentrate wealth with the idea that this fucks up the playing field and we have got to tax people when they die so that the money doesn't keep getting more and more concentrated at the top.
Right, because it just snowballs. It just keeps compounding with each generation. They just keep passing it forward.
Didn't even lower it. They abolished the estate tax. And fucking supported by poor people in the Midwest.
So I have a theory about that they're able to pass shit like that because they did other things like remove the tax hit you take for not having insurance. So that was put through during the Obama administration, and then they cut that also for the new tax plan. So I think they're able to go to all the poor people going, hey, if you can't afford insurance, that's okay. We're not going to penalize you anymore.
And
they're like,
$50.
oh,
yeah.
great. You're not going to hit me for this little amount of money. And at the same time, they're fucking people in the ass.
Well, for most of them, they don't have anything to do with it. They're like, I don't know anyone who pays an estate tax. Who cares if it gets abolished? It only impacts people with like $1 million estate or more.
Yeah.
It's purely a tax on the rich. And we worship the rich with our fucking loving the Kardashians and loving our basketball players. That we're like, oh, that seems unfair. I don't want Kobe Bryant to have to pay a tax when he dies. We're calling it a death tax. Like, why should he be punished? It's not punishing. It's saying that we should take the money that happens when he dies, so his kids who didn't do anything to earn that money don't just get all that money that goes back to the state to pay for education for people who can't fucking afford to buy their own breakfast at school,
right,
so they can get an education and have a chance to compete with Kobe's kids. So I'm sure they're getting super talented, but they shouldn't have all the advantages and no competition from the poor, as opposed to Republicans are like, if the poor die, they can't vote Democrat.
Yeah, right. The people die off. We don't have to worry about them voting against us, or we'll just make the voting laws so difficult and so many hoops you got to jump through that they're not going to vote anyway.
Or you're going to have an income of like $10,000, or at least you have to keep working. If you're unemployed, you can't vote.
Right. Bill Maher, I watched Bill Maher last Friday, and I watched it Saturday morning, but he made it really that. People talk about this country being the greatest country in the world, and that's bullshit.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's absolute bullshit. And one of the points he made up is that a lot like the European countries and a lot of the other first world countries, their voting day is a holiday, so people don't have to work, so they don't have to be anywhere but to go vote.
And they don't have 8-hour lines in poor neighborhoods to vote because, hey, look, it was Republican election, person in charge of elections who's like, where should I put the voting machines? Well, I'll put 25 in this 1 mile county full of Republican voters. And there's about, 20 million people living in that urban environment. I think three voting machines is good.
Yeah, it's enough.
That's a lot. That's a lot. Three,
yeah,
maybe two. Two sounds right.
Yeah.
We'll put them one on either side. Really
so they have a choice.
Yeah.
They can go left or right. Well, we are approaching. We just broke the 18-minute mark, so we're a little bit longer than the last couple. But I thought it was a good spirited conversation, and I learned something, which I'm always trying to get a little bit wiser. So this is going to be the end of episode number 3 with Doug X. And where can they find you?
DougXComedy.com.
Right on. You can find me at richardolder.com. You can also find me at Twitter and Instagram at rkolder. And, keep an eye out. We're doing a lot of shows. In fact, we have a show coming up in Tustin on the 24th.
February 24th, Saturday night, our first weekend show.
Which will be awesome. So come check that out. And just go out and support the arts. Check out comedians, musicians. Get out, get off your couch, take the headphones out, which is probably counterintuitive considering you're probably listening to this.
Well, Richard, right? You went to see a show on Tuesday night and for $10 or free because you got comp tickets.
I got it for free because Christina gave me a comp. It would have been $10.
And didn't Whitney Cummings drop in?
Whitney Cummings popped in and did 15 minutes. She just...
For 10 minutes?
10 minutes. Yeah, she did...
For $10. For
$10, she did 10, 15 minutes, and it was amazing. She just showed up. And I got to watch a personal show where there was probably maybe 20 people there, and she killed. And it's fun to hear a room that's not really full like that laugh like a full room. It was very cool. So Flappers and these clubs, people go, I don't know if we're gonna go out during the week. show up, support your friends, and you never know who's going to show up. Like I did a show and Bill Burr showed up. He went on right after me. It was awesome.
You opened for Bill Burr.
I opened for Bill Burr. All right, that's 20 minutes. We're going to call it done. I can keep talking forever, so check out the next one. All right, peace out.